snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys, so I am here today to do a book haul because I went to the Booktuber meetup in London, which is where I got a fair amount of books, and also I have just been picking up lots of different books across the month anyway. So I have quite a lot to show you guys. Some of these I was sent by publishers, I'll tell you which ones those were. Some of them I was sent by my friends or given by my friends, which was amazing, and a lot of them I just bought myself. So let's get into this and I will tell you a little bit about each book as we go. Starting off with some of the Kindle books that I've recently picked up. I picked up loads of the BookTube SFF award nominees on my Kindle because that was cheaper than going out and buying all of them, and I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to like all of them. I'm sure I will because you guys nominated some really good choices, but I haven't read all of them, so I picked up Lock In by John Scalzi, which I'm very excited about. I've heard it's kind of a apocalyptic dystopian sci-fi where this virus kind of spread around the population and 1% of people, which isn't that much, but it's obviously a large percent of the whole world's population, they are locked in, which basically means that they are aware and they are sort of still in there, but they can't actually move and they can't really respond to any stimuli and stuff. So it sounds really interesting about how the aftermath of that disease is coped with and what goes on. No idea how good it's going to be. It's going to be my first John Scalzi, but I'm super excited because I'm sure you all know that Lindsay loves John Scalzi, and I have been hearing from her for ages that I should pick something up by him, so I'm really happy that the BookTube SFF Awards is giving me the opportunity to do that, and yeah, so I picked that one up. Another one I also got for the BookTube SFF Awards is The Goblin Emperor, and this one is also in the Best Novel category. I am very excited about this. I don't know anything about this book at all. All I've heard is that a lot of people I know like it, and a lot of people I know are really interested in picking it up. It's got a really lovely cover. I really love it. I think it's very beautiful. But yeah, I literally don't know anything about this one, so I'm excited to dive into it. Then I also picked up Cinder, Scarlet and Cress, all of which are by Marissa Meyer. Cinder and Scarlet are not nominated for the BookTube SFF Awards, but they are the first and the second one in the Lunar Chronicles series, and Cress, which is nominated, is the third one. So I've not read any of the Lunar series, so I wanted to pick them all up so that I wouldn't get really confused starting at the third book and just see what they were all about. I've heard that it's kind of a sci-fi twist on classic fairy tales with sort of modern interpretations. So Cinder is about a robotic Cinderella. I think Scarlet has to do with Red Riding Hood, and Cress I think has to do with Rapunzel, but I'm not entirely sure, so very excited to give these a go. I've heard a lot of positive things about people who read a lot more YA than I do, so they obviously know a lot more about them. So hopefully I will really enjoy them as well, and I'll definitely let you guys know all of my thoughts on all of those ones. I also picked up The Strange Library by Haruki Murakami, which is another nomination. This one is in the short fiction category. Again, I got this on my Kindle, even though it does have lots of pictures and stuff because it was really expensive and I didn't want to pay loads of money for it until I knew if I was going to like it, so I might end up picking up the hardback at some point. Who knows? But it has a lot of different sort of excerpts and things, like different clippings and things like that sort of inlaid in the book, so I'm really intrigued. I don't know what it's about really. Haruki Murakami's always a little bit weird. The only thing I've read by him before now is 1Q84, but I enjoyed it a lot, so I am interested to start some more of his stuff and see how The Strange Library compares. Those are all of the ones that I ended up picking up for the BookTube SFF Awards specifically. Also on my Kindle I picked up Rough Magic. I was recommended this, or I saw this on, I think it might have been Joe's channel, it might have been the Marvelous Reading Room, I'm not sure who, but I saw this on someone's channel and they were talking about it, and it was 99p on Kindle when they were talking about it, and it sounded really intriguing. I can't really remember what it was about, but it just sounded intriguing and kind of cool, and the fact that they really enjoyed it made me want to buy it. I can't remember who it is, which is going to really annoy me, but I think it might have been Sunny from the Marvelous Reading Room, so I'm definitely looking forward to getting to that at some point. Also on my Kindle I picked up The Price of Valor, which is a new release this month. It's by Django Wexler. It's the second one in his Shadow Campaign series, I believe it is, the first one being The Thousand Names. absolutely loved The Thousand Names when I read it, and I really, really wanted to continue on with the Shadow Throne and then the Price of Valor. So I now have the second and third on my Kindle waiting for me to get to them. Again, this is a series that I really, really want to read sometime soon. I don't know when I'm going to have the opportunity because there's a lot of read-alongs and I've got a lot of plans of TBRs and stuff coming up, but I am very intrigued and very excited about it, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to get to it in the next few months at least. And then two that I got as audiobooks, I picked up Armada by Ernest Cline, which is the second book he's published. It's not a continuation of the Ready Player One series, that's a standalone. I was hoping for it to be a little bit more entertaining than it was. It definitely was more predictable than Ready Player One, and some of the references that were put in there did seem a little forced in as opposed to sort of easily slid into the story. But it was still a really fun read. I ended up giving it a 3.5 stars, I believe. I enjoyed it a lot. It was still very fun, but I don't think it was as good as Ready Player One. It definitely didn't compare in my eyes. So those are my thoughts on that one, but I'll be doing a full review of it, so don't worry. Another audiobook that I also picked up is Queen of Fire, which is the third one in the Raven Shadow series by Anthony Ryan, and I loved Bloodsong. I thought that Tower Lord, the second one, was alright, but this one I started it, I got sort of 15% of the way through, and I just got distracted by other stuff. I wasn't really feeling it, it just didn't captivate my attention that well, so I don't know when I'm going to come back to that one. It's kind of a bit miss at the moment for me. I hope it gets better. I'm sure it does get better, especially since it is the last one in the series, and it should be a lot of fun when I do get to it, but I just wasn't feeling it at the time, so I'll come back to that one at some point in the future. Seeing as I've got the audiobook, I will definitely listen to it at some point, just not right now. So hopefully I can get to that one sometime in the next few months. If any of you guys have read it, then let me know. Is it like really amazing at the end? I don't know. Let me know. Now I will move on to all of the physical books that I have, because I have many, many physical books as well to show you guys. So, starting off with the ones that I got specifically at the meetup that I just went to. I'll put a link to the meetup video that I did down below. I vlogged it, it was a lot of fun, it was the best day, I met so many wonderful people and we had such an amazing time. So if you've not seen that, I'll put a link to it below and you can go and check it out, but it was just the best day. So these are the books that I picked up. I only got 6, which I think was quite restrained. The first one that I picked up is The Wicked and the Divine Volume 2. This one is called Fandemonium, and I'm very excited to get to this because I absolutely adored Volume 1. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The artwork was just so stunning. It was visually one of the most beautiful things I've ever read, and I just adore the sort of really clean, slick, sublime merging of colours and things like that. It was just beautiful. I'll do a quick flip through of this one so you guys can see some of the colours. I just think it's really, really beautifully done. But I've not read this one yet. I'm very excited to do so, and I might end up sticking this one into one of the TBR Takedown or Booktubeathon maybe. If I sort of want a lighter read, I'll definitely pick this one up soon though, because I'm very excited to read it, and it only recently came out, so I'm very, very intrigued about it, and I can't wait to find out if it's as good as the first one. Hopefully it is. Fingers crossed that it will be. Moving on, the next one that I picked up is God's War by Cameron Hurley. This one I got in Scoob Books whilst we were in London, and I don't know a lot about this, and on the front it says, ferociously imaginative, smart, dark and visceral, which is a quote from Lauren Bukes, who writes The Shining Girls, if any of you guys know that. I hated The Shining Girls, so I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing that she's the one quoted on the front, but I have heard amazing things about Cameron Hurley generally, and Elizabeth from Books and Pieces and Eleanor from Eleanor Reads Books, both of them said that this was a really, really wonderful book, and it's not too long, so I'm actually planning to have this as part of Booktubeathon as one of the books that I picked up the most recently, I think. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to get to this very, very soon. This Booktubeathon's the first week of August. It sounds kind of creepy. Apparently there's a lot of like focus on insects and they're sort of providing the power and things like that in the world, so it does sound really kind of alternative and a bit different from what I normally read, but I'm really, really open to it, and yeah, I'm hoping I'll love it because I also have Cameron Hurley's Mirror Empire on my Kindle and I've not got to that yet, so hopefully I'll really enjoy this, and if I do, I'll continue this series and get to the Mirror Empire sometime sooner than I would otherwise. So yeah, if you've heard about this one or you've read it, definitely let me know your thoughts as well. Next I picked up Legion, which is by Brandon Sanderson. This is a novella. It's not part of the Cosmere novellas. It's focusing on a guy called Stephen who has this kind of mental condition where he has these aspects, basically people inside his brain who have a lot of knowledge about certain things. So he'll have like an engineer character and a character who's really good at languages and can translate stuff, and he has all these sort of really good, very highly skilled, very intelligent aspects within his brain, and so he's very good at detective work and that sort of thing. I have already read this. I really enjoyed it. It was a very fun read. I definitely wanted to pick this one up because not only is it matching the rest of my Brandon Sanderson books, which I love the Sam Green covers for, I just think he does a stellar job and they are all beautiful, but it's also signed by Brandon Sanderson. So this is, I think, my second Sanderson book that I have signed, and it's the second one of the small ones as well because I got Mitosis as my other one. So they actually match each other, which makes me very, very happy. And I kind of got this for my boyfriend as well because the last time when I got a signed Sanderson book, he was like, "Oh, I'm really sad that you didn't get me one." So now I've got him one, essentially, although it's kind of going to live on my bookshelf. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm sure I will give it to him and he will read it, and he hasn't read it yet. So definitely looking forward to having this on my bookshelf, even though I've already read it. So I picked that one up. Next, I picked up The Secret of Abdul El Yazdi, which is book number 4 in the Burton and Swinburne series by Mark Hodder. I have been reading through the series, or at least I plan to be. I plan on reading the second one for Booktubeathon. I'm very excited to have the 4th one now. I have the 3rd already and the 2nd one already. So I just am in love with the first book in the series, and I see no reason why I wouldn't continue to absolutely adore the series. And I love this cover. It doesn't quite match my other ones, it's slightly different, but I enjoy the series, so I'm looking forward to diving into this one and diving into the rest of the series and just hopefully loving all of them, because I think there are 6 or 7 in the series, quite a few. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to continue on because I think Mark Hodder did an excellent job with the first one. And then I also picked up this one, which is Resurrection Engines, 15 Extraordinary Tales of Scientific Romance, edited by Scott Harrison, and apparently it's a kind of steampunk anthology, which to me sounds great. I hadn't heard of it before. I wanted to get a book that I hadn't heard of before. On the back it says that it's all about sort of alternative retellings of different stories. So we got like the Robin Hood story, H.G. Wells' Journey to the Centre of the Earth, Rime of the Ancient Mariner, H. Rider Haggard, Wuthering Heights, and various other things that have been sort of reimagined in a steampunk way. So it sounds really cool. It's a pretty chunky book. It's quite dense. And yeah, it just sounds fun. It sounds interesting. And I wanted to check out some more steampunk and steampunk authors because I'm a bit obsessed with steampunk and I just love it. So I want to read more of it in the next few months, and this one seemed like a good one to have on my shelf. Plus it just looks really pretty anyway, so couldn't really resist that one. So those were all the ones I bought at the BookTube meetup. And then I was given this one, which is St. Lucy's Home for Girls, Raised by Wolves by Karen Russell. This one was given to me by Holly from Library at the Edge of the World. I will link her channel down below. She gave me this because she happened to have 2 copies of it, and I was super excited about this because I've heard Mercedes talk about this and I think a few other people, and it's a collection of short stories with a kind of magical realism feeling to it, I think. I don't know much more than that other than it just is meant to be really, really good. And I think it's won a few awards or been on the shortlists and long lists for a few awards, so I'm super excited to get to this. Holly and I might do a read-along of this together, I'm not sure, but it's quite short, so hopefully we can fit it in sometime soon. And yeah, the cover is beautiful, so thank you so much, Holly, for giving this to me. It made me very excited to get to it. Continuing on the same theme of books I was given this one by Jen because she had 2 copies, Jen from Jen Campbell. I'll put a link to her channel as well below. And this is Bonjour Tristesse by Francois Sagan. And this is translated from French. It is a sort of modern classic, I believe. There were lots of people in our buddy reading group who were planning to read this, and I'd seen it advertised in Waterstones and places like that a lot. Didn't know anything about it at all, and Jen very kindly offered to send this to me, so I didn't have to buy it, which was great because I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not. I didn't really want to buy it, but when Jen offered, I was very excited, and I said, yes, please send it my way. Disappointingly, I didn't enjoy the story at all. I gave it a 1 star. It really just was not for me. The characters were all very dislikable. I didn't feel like it was developed enough. I didn't feel like it was entertaining. I didn't feel like it was fun. Felt like it was boring. I felt like all the characters really annoyed me and they did stupid stuff. I had a very different opinion to lots of other people who were in the buddy read though, so I think most other people really enjoyed it, but for me I just thought it was a bit rubbish. But thank you, Jen, for sending it to me anyway. I know Jen didn't like it either, but that's an interesting one. Kind of different from what I usually read. Not going to keep this. I'll probably donate it. But it was an interesting one, and it kind of took me out of my comfort zone and made me read something a little bit different, so I like it for that reason, but the story just really wasn't for me. And then also, on the theme of Jen, I actually got sent these two books, which is Weird Things Customers Say in Bookshops and More Weird Things Customers Say in Bookshops. These are both written by Jen, and I got sent them by her publisher very kindly. I've already read the first one. I think I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's just a book about exactly what it says on the cover. Weird things that customers do end up saying in bookshops, whether they get the title of a book wrong, or they say something that's completely unrelated to books, or they just have a weird, funny conversation. Jen has been a bookseller for many years, and so she has heard or overheard many conversations where people have said odd or peculiar things, and it's basically a document of those things in these 2 books, and I'm very much excited to get on to more weird things. But I really enjoyed the first one, so I'm sure I'm going to love it as well. It is illustrated inside them. It's got these quirky little illustrations, so I will be doing a review of both of these once I finish the second one, which I'm sure will be very soon. Thank you to Jen's publisher for sending this to me, and I'm very excited to move on with these books and discover more of Jen's wonderful anecdotes. And then a final one that I was sent by Angry Robot, the publisher. This one is The Singular and Extraordinary Tale of Mirror and Goliath. This one was sent to me by Angry Robot, or at least it was supposed to be sent to me by Angry Robot back when they sent me all the other books that I already did a haul of, but it was out of stock because loads of people wanted it, I guess because it's such a pretty book and it sounds really cool. So very kindly they sent it to me when it was back in stock, which means that I just have it now as opposed to having it when I got all the others. I believe it's about a young girl called Mirror and a guardian of hers called Goliath who is a shapeshifter, but I honestly don't know an awful lot more than that. I have heard from Sam, who read it recently, that it was a very good read and she enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to giving it a go. And I'm sure that this one won't take me too long to get to either because it is very beautiful, and I do want to read some of Angry Robot stuff very soon, and this one is probably the one that is catching my eye the most, so I can't wait for that. And finally, on to all the books that I just ended up picking up for the fun of it, the physical ones. I picked up Pale Kings, which is book number 2 in the Emaneska series by Ben Galley. I read the written last month, or maybe this month actually, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really fun, very action-packed, loads of cool magic in there, and the characters were entertaining to me, so I wanted to continue on with the series, and this is the next one. It's got a beautiful cover, I'm sure you guys will agree. It just looks stunning. All of the covers in the series look very beautiful, and I can't wait to see how the story continues and follow our character further on because it ended quite dramatically, so I think this one could be very good. Plus this one's bigger than the first, so I'm sure it will be engaging and fun. Then I also picked up Uprooted, which is by Naomi Novik. This one is a beautiful cover, probably the prettiest cover out of all the ones I've shown you, even though there have been others that are very beautiful. This one is just absolutely stunning. Crushed.co.uk apparently designed this cover, so I'm going to put a link to that down below as well because it is beautiful and deserves credit. But this is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. All I know about this is Naomi Novik has another series called the Temerae series, which I already have a lot of the books for and I'm very excited to read. This one, I know that it's about a town where these young girls live, and up on the hill there is a wizard called the Dragon, I think, and every year or every few years he needs like a sacrifice, so a young girl will go and live with him or something like that. I'm not entirely sure where it's going to go from there, but I have heard that Patrick Rothfuss has said Uprooted has everything I love about Novik's writing style, with the added bonus of some old world magic and the flavour of a dark fairy story. Robin Hobbs says it's enchanting in every sense. Both of those authors are people I love and trust and admire, so I think that this will be amazing. I've also heard from Sana, who's already read it, that it was amazing, and we're going to be doing this as a buddy read in August, around the 18th I think, so it should be so much fun because a lot of us are going to be reading it, and it's just beautiful and amazing, and hopefully it will be a wonderful read. So I can't wait for that one. I also recently picked up Ruin, which is the 3rd one in the Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne. There is one more book after this one, but this one was only just released, as you can see, which is why it's a gigantic hardback. It's very heavy. I'm very excited to continue on with this series. I'm going to be putting this one into my Booktubeathon TBR as the author with the same first letter of your surname, because my surname starts with G, So does John Gwyn's, so I can't wait to read this because I've been wanting to read it ever since I got it. And I love the story. I gave the second one 5 out of 5 stars and the first one 4, so it's definitely getting better as it goes, and I hope that that continues in this book. It's kind of a very classical fantasy, but it has elements like giants and clans and sort of fighting pits and things like that that aren't necessarily that typical of fantasy. So I'm very excited to continue on with the series, and things are definitely heating up more and more with every book. So yeah, I'm very excited to get further through this and discover where all the characters are going and what's going to happen at the end. Next, I have 2 books that are part of the same series that I picked up, and they are book number 13 of Wheel of Time, which is Towers of Midnight, and book number 14, which is A Memory of Light. I think I've already shown Towers of Midnight because that's in my TBR for TBR Takedown, and I'm about to start it actually tomorrow. And then also A Memory of Light I picked up at the same time, because now I have all of them in the same editions that look so beautiful together, and I'm about to finish the series, so I'm very, very excited for these. I believe I'm going to be reading the 14th one as part of Booktubeathon as well, so this is kind of like a preview for my Booktubeathon TBR, because a lot of these are going to be in it. But I'm super, super excited about finishing up the series. I'm loving the way that Sanderson is finishing it up and tying everything together in the 12th one, and I'm sure that will only continue in the 13th and 14th, so yeah, can't wait to get to those 2. And finally, the last 3 books are all part of the same trilogy, and that is Fool's Errand by Robin Hobb, which is book number 1 in the Tawny Man series, The Golden Fool, which is book number 2 in the Tawny Man series, and Fool's Fate, which is book number 3 in the Tawny Man series. I'm very excited to have all of these. I've already read the first one, which is Fool's Errand. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. These actually focus back on Fitz and the Fool as our main characters, and we get to see Fitz sort of 15 years after the ending of the Farseer book, so it's a really interesting take on him and his character, and we get to see him as he kind of gets mixed back up in the things he thought he left behind. I'm not going to say any more than that. It was very, very exciting, and I will be doing a full review of this one very soon, and probably reading the 2nd and 3rd in August and September, so look out for reviews of all of them coming soon as well. Those are all of the books. There's a lot. I would love to hear your thoughts on all of the books I've shown you. There are many, there are loads. Tell me all your thoughts, because I'm sure some of you guys have read some of the ones I mentioned, and if not, then let me know which ones you're interested in picking up. I would love to hear that as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all very, very soon in another video. Bye! Me and you gonna have a little chat.